Welcome in, I'm Artress. This week we're going to be doing something a little bit different than normal. Normally I would go through as many OP07 decks as possible now that OP07 is about to start. At the time of this recording, it comes out tomorrow. However, the sim hasn't quite been updated yet. We're still like in this awkward stage of like OP06 on the Western front, and then on the Eastern front we have OP08, so OP07 can only be played in the OP08 meta, and we're kind of like in a really weird spot where we can't really play OP07 to its full extent because we might come across some OP08 decks, which I think is a little bit unfair overall. So for this week only, until the sim is updated for the Western front, we're going to be exploring an OP08 deck a little bit ahead of time, simply because I really have been enjoying playing this deck, and that is Marco, which is a new leader from OP08. That is a 4-life leader in blue and red, and it's the only leader besides Vivi in these colors as of right now, which is a very interesting color combination. And the leader says, Dawn ×1, activate main once per turn, draw one card, then place one card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck, then give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power for this turn. When this effect was first introduced to the public, everyone thought that this would be the next Sakazuki, and now that the OP08 meta has been taking place for at least a couple of weeks now in the Eastern front, we've noticed that there's a lot of Law, red-purple Law, and of course black Lucci, but we have not seen any blue-red Marco. It is not the same as the Sakazuki effect. It is still a very powerful effect. I think being able to draw a card and cycling that and stacking your deck is very nice, especially when you have some of the cards, which we'll get to, have synergies with stacking your deck. But as we've seen, it's not nearly as strong as like the red-purple Law, or not nearly as strong as Sakazuki for that fact. So let's take a look at the deck list. But before we get into the deck list, if you find anything in this video useful or informative, please make sure to drop a like and a sub. It helps out the channel immensely. Cannot thank you enough for the support. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, please make sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description below. So one of the things I wanted to kind of prioritize with this leader is being able to really take advantage of the minusing effect. Minus 2,000 power to a character allows you to trade into things very effectively, and we also want to try to find cards that can either fit within KOing something if the power is reduced, or helping further reduce those effects, or have just like abilities that synergize really well with minusing power. So off the bat, we're running 2 Edward Newgates. This is a 9-drop, 10,000 power body, and on play, up to one of your leaders gains plus 2,000 power into the start of your next turn. Then you cannot add cards from your life area to your hand by your effects during this turn. That is not so much important. It is a nice defensive tool to use, but the more important thing here is the Dawn ×2 when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. And so in this meta, with red-purple Law being very abundantly clear the forefront of the best decks, you're going to come across a lot of 5,000 power units, and on top of that, there are a fair amount of blockers that are anywhere from the 3,000 to 5,000 power. So using your leader ability with Marco and then Dawn ×2 with the Newgate, you're able to pop a lot of those bodies, which is great synergy there. Next, we're running for Jozu. This is a 2K counter, Whitebeard Pirates. The main thing we're running here in this deck are Whitebeard Pirates. That is the big theme. Obviously, Marco is a Whitebeard Pirate himself, and so it makes sense thematically to do that, but also a lot of the Whitebeard Pirate cards fit what we're looking to do. Minusing reduction costs. We're also looking to KO things at certain power levels. So it makes sense to have Jozu here because Jozu is a Whitebeard Pirates type card and can be searched off of Ezo. Then I'm running 4 Ace, 7-cost Ace. On play, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. Then if your leader has Whitebeard Pirates in its type, this character gains Rush during this turn. This is one of my favorite cards in the game, and it really does well in this deck, being able to reduce something on the field by 5,000 in total because of Marco's ability, reducing it by 2, and then Ace's ability, reducing it by another 3, and then you have another 3 on another body. So if your opponent turns any unit sideways and you have an Ace, this is going to do a lot of board clear for you, which really helps stabilize the game at that point. Because the mid-game, early to mid-game, is kind of like a little awkward for you, and so Ace helps turn that around. Then we're running 4 of the Marco blockers, as makes the most sense because we're running Marco leader, so why not have Marco blocker? This is an on KO. You may trash 1 card from your hand with Whitebeard Pirates and its type, and if you have 2 or less life cards, play this character from your trash rested. With your leader being 4 life, it's really easy to go down to 2 life and then have this ability be able to proc pretty easily. So that way you're not wasting cards countering out of things. This will be on the field and you can just pitch a Whitebeard Pirates type card to save yourself from getting hit too hard. Then we're running 4 Ezo. This is the Whitebeard Searcher. On play, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 card with Whitebeard Pirates in its type other than Ezo, and then put it into your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this will search out for pretty much any piece that you're needing. There are a few cards in this deck that we'll get to that don't have Whitebeard Pirates in its type, and you'll just have to naturally draw into those or use the leader ability to get into those. But from pretty much anything else, Ezo can grab your 2Ks, can grab some of your abilities to KO things, can grab your blocker, all kinds of different things it can grab, which is really nice. Then we're running 4 5-cost Marco. This is your turn on play. KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. And then on KO, you may trash 1 event card from your hand. Play this character from the trash as rested. So in a meta where Lucci is very prominent as well as Law, Lucci will be able to KO this. But then if you have an event card, which we do run a fair amount of event cards, I think 12 in total, you can just replay this from the trash rested. And this also applies to the blocker Marco. When they're both KO'd, they come back with their costs reset, so that if they are down to 1 or 0 cost because of some effect that maybe Lucci had put into play, they come back as 4 and 5 respectively. So that's very nice with this card to be able to have something against Lucci that you can usually consistently keep on the field. Now from OP08, we have a new card here. It is Silver's Rayleigh. This is an on play. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's characters until the end of your opponent's next turn. Give 1 character minus 3,000 power and the other minus 2,000 power. After this, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with the power of 3,000 or lower. So with Marco using this ability, you can get something down to 3,000 pretty easily with Rayleigh. This will allow you to get anything from 8,000 power or below down into KO range. And if there's something that's higher than that, anything that's like 9,000 power to 12,000 power, this will help shrink it for a turn so you don't have to worry about getting hit with the full power of that ability or that character, which is really nice. So Rayleigh is a really great addition to this deck. It's not a Whitebeard Pirate, so you can't search it out, but you're consistent enough with this deck because 1, you're drawing cards with Sanji's Pilaf, which we'll get to, and then 2, you're using your leader ability to cycle things and go through the deck faster than maybe your opponent would be going through their deck. Now, the main reason I like playing this deck, and I think one of the strongest cards in this deck, is 9-cost Sanji from OP06. This is an on-play. Reveal the top card of your deck. You may put into play up to 1 revealed character with cost 9 or less other than Sanji, then place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck. So basically, you're using your leader ability to stack the top card of your deck, and hopefully it is either Newgate, an Ace, or a Rayleigh, and then you're playing the Sanji down. Playing Sanji will bring out any of those, and then you can use your effects from the on-play effects that Ace, Rayleigh, or Newgate have to then equalize the board or take care of something or whatever it may be. Obviously, things are situational. But Sanji definitely, for me, is, I think, the centerpiece of this deck. And it's funny because this is not a Whitebeard Pirate card, but man, it just it really gets the deck going. And also one of the things that in this meta you'll notice in OP08, it's very important to play like 2 bodies in a single turn, because if you can play multiple bodies in a turn, it's harder for some of these decks to answer them. Red Purple Law can really only take care of 1 body a turn. Lucci can usually take care of 2, but sometimes it is a little bit difficult for them to take care of 2, or it takes too many resources for them to get rid of 2 bodies at the same time. So being able to play 9-cost Sanji and then cheating out something like a Newgate or an Ace or a Rayleigh usually will mean that at least 1 of those bodies will stick for another turn, and therefore you're still applying more pressure the following turn, which is really nice. Instead of just playing one of these flat out and then losing it the following turn due to either bottom decking or KOing effects, you can pretty much guarantee at least having a little bit more pressure with the Sanji. Then we're running 4 King Du, which is a Whitebeard Pirate blue card from OP08. This is mostly a 2K counter, but you can play it with this Ace from OP08. And the Activate main once per turn ability is you may reveal 2 cards with Whitebeard Pirates in its type. This character gains 2,000 power until the end of the turn. So this can be an attacker with that ability, which I've really never used it that too often, but you can. Most of the time it's going to be a 2K because, well, if you've noticed, we're not running that many 2Ks. I think we're running 8 in total, 4 Jozu, 4 King Du. So for the most part, I want to keep these in my hand, but you can use them off of this new Ace ability, which is a 5 cost, 6,000 power body. And it says, on play, reveal the top card of your deck. You may put into play up to 1 character with the type Whitebeard Pirates and a cost of 4 or less. After this, return the remaining cards to the top or bottom of the deck. So you can put out a King Du, a Jozu, but for mostly, you're trying to get the Marco out on the field. Now, this card may seem a little awkward at times, simply because you only have, 12 targets and 8 of them are 2Ks. So mostly you're trying to set up the Marco to bring out the Marco with this Ace and then have 2 bodies in a turn. So that's a really nice play to have on your 6th Dawn turn. Once again, playing 2 bodies at once is really nice and hard for opponents to take care of both bodies. So this will allow you to add some extra pressure, and if they're trying to take care of these 2 bodies, like the Ace and the Marco, by the time that they've taken care of some of these, you can put out a 7-cost Ace or get to your 10 Dawn turn and play the Sanji plus something else. So you're just trying to stack as many bodies on the field as possible and hope that they stick. Now for events, I'm running 4 Fire Fist. This is a Whitebeard Pirates event that says you may discard 1 event from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 5,000 power or less, and up to one of your opponent's characters with 4,000 power or less. The reason I have 4 of these in this deck is because I think this card is very good against Red Purple Law. A lot of their bodies with the leader ability can get into the range of 5,000 and 4,000, and so it's hard for them to stick a body on the field with this. The only downside is you have to pitch an event from your hand, so you do have to make sure that there's another event in the hand for you to be able to do that, which Izo can search out the Fire Fist. So if you have 2 Fire Fist in hand, you can just use 1 Fire Fist to pitch and for the effect of this one. It also has a trigger, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 5,000 power or less. That comes up sometimes. Otherwise, though, you might want to just hold it in your hand and use it for Law. Very useful there. In other matchups, like maybe Enel, it's not nearly as useful because a lot of their bodies are just really tall and it's hard to get this within range, to get them within 5,000 to 4,000 range. But it's possible, especially if you do on your 10 Dawn turn play an Ace, get 2 things down to 5 and 4, and then play Fire Fist within that 10 Dawn range. So that's a very possible thing for you to do against Enel, but for the most part, this is teched in for the Red-Purple Law matchup. I'm running 2 Bad Manners Kick Course. The trigger effect is really useful, but most of the time, this is just going to be an additional 2K counter, being able to pitch like a dead card or a 1K counter, for instance, to give your leader or character plus 3,000 power for the battle. We are running a fair amount of duds, and so this definitely helps out. You can change this to more if you'd like, or you can just remove it altogether, but I felt like I had too many bricks in hand at times, so I put 2 of these in here for that. Now, the other card that I think is really important to this deck is Sanji's Peel-Off. With Marco, one of the things that I found, I was running out of resources very quickly when playing this deck, and Sanji's Peel-Off is one of these cards that I will mulligan for at the start of the game. If I don't see a Sanji's Peel-Off in hand, I will usually just mulligan and try to get it and use my leader ability to try to cycle through the deck to get to a Sanji's Peel-Off in the early game, because drawing more cards in that early game allows you to have more options to play, but also allow yourself to defend yourself better, because this is being a 4-life leader is definitely tough, and especially if you have limited resources, it is even tougher. So Sanji's Peel-Off is definitely a 4 for me, and of course the trigger being activate this card's main effect, so you can get 2 cards drawn for free if it's in life. Very, very nice utility there for the trigger. But for the most part, you are hard mulliganing for this card and then setting up the rest of your plays with your leader ability past the 3 Dawn turn. And then, of course, we're running 2 of the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. I was running 4 of these initially, and you can obviously change up the ratios here, but this is a place up to 2 cost 6 or less characters in any order on the bottom of their owner's deck. There are times where, obviously, Marco's ability is very useful for characters that are tapped sideways, right? You are able to really take care of the board that way, but there are times where the opponent has characters that are standing upright and you just can't get rid of them through KO effects or whatever it may be. And so Gravity Blade helps take care of that in the mid to almost late game, where if you have a couple of bodies on the field that you're wanting to take care of efficiently, you can just use the Gravity Blade to reset the board and get rid of those bodies that somebody has played. It's really good against Kalgara, which has nothing but 6 or less cost. So this card is very good against that deck. It's good against red purple law, for instance, and also it's really strong against black yellow Luffy. So you might have an argument to increase this. There are some other cards in OP08 that I think you could probably include in the deck instead and test things around. I was running the new Thatch, which is a 4-cost 5,000 power body, and basically that one is if this is removed through KO or an opponent's effect, you can draw a card instead and trash it. So with a lot of removal being in the metagame, that's a very good card too. But of course, this is a very early rendition of the deck. Not a lot of people have played this competitively quite yet. I think some people in the Eastern meta are definitely cooking and trying to get this thing going. So you can definitely at least get a head start a little bit and maybe get an idea of what the deck is supposed to do through what has been put here. So overall, I really, really enjoy this leader. I think that it is nice to have an option that is not necessarily a red purple law or a Lucci if you don't want to play that meta game, and then maybe have something that's a little off meta that could potentially do very well against those decks. Of course, on the flip side, it could just, you know, bum out and do awful, but it just really depends on what you draw, and of course how you play your cards. But enough about that. Let's get into the sim and see how the deck does overall. All right, let's go against Enel. We'll take second, and we'll look for, we're looking for peel off, but we can't find it. I think Gravity Blade is okay to keep. I think it's okay. After a certain point, it's pretty useless, but maybe we'll keep it for the time being and see what we can get. Sanji's really good here. Let's draw. Gosh, why? I don't need these Fire Fists. We're just gonna swing 6 and see if they take it. They'll likely take it. It's a Enel. They take everything. So I guess we'll just have to go down to 2 life. I think we bottom deck this. Because at this point, it doesn't really matter too much. We'll go 7. We want them to use their Luffy ability on this Marco. We want them to pop this to get rid of the Marco, and then we can then just revive it with the ace. We can counter out of some of these things as well. Totally fine. Ooh. That sucks. That definitely sucks. Well, they did this thinking that they could KO the Marco, but this stipulation is only for 2 or less life. So we got pretty lucky there, I guess. So we're going to draw 2 more. This is really nice. Place on the bottom of the deck this Ezo. Swing 6. Play another Marco and pass. Now, the next turn, what we can do is we can go Sanji into Rayleigh and then pop this Linlin. If they go another 8,000 power body, then we can also consider that. We don't need all of the aces in the world. Just a few. Just a couple. What do they have here? They might have Yamato. They might have Yamato to KO this Marco. Another one? We're just dropping 1Ks here because it makes the most sense to do so. If they play another... Oh, they're going Flampe. Flampe? Into Raigo? That's weird. We'll just let it go. That's fine. I think we can pass, right? I think we'll have to pass this turn. I don't know if I want to have the ace available. Because what they're going to end up doing is they'll probably go like 10 drop here. They'll go like 5. We'll counter out. Oh, they don't. This looks like a Yamato. Yep. Ooh, that's actually pretty good as well. Let's place this on the top of the deck. We'll go here. We're going to swing 6. See if they take it. They take it. 8. Please no triggers that are going to... Okay, that's unlucky. Well, that's unlucky, of course. We'll deploy this and then go here and then just get rid of that. And then this is going to be at 6 this turn. So it's a little bit more manageable. And if they do heal up, then so be it. I think we're okay taking 1 life here. I think we're fine. If they go ace, I think that's actually a really good opportunity for us to return ace. And then get rid of the bodies on their board for 1 more turn. I think we're okay with that. Okay. All right. Interesting. Whew. Let's place this on the top of the deck. We're getting our Rayleighs in. Let's go. All right, let's go here. Let's go 6. We'll go 8. What could this possibly be? You should disappear? Okay. We'll go 8 again. Go 9. That's okay. We'll pass. We have a fair amount of counter in hand. They have to like really math it out here, and I think we have a fair amount that we can just counter out with. So we'll go here. Yep, this looks like an ace. So now we just have to hope that they don't have any decent triggers here. We'll just go for life. A bunch of 9s is going to be really hard for them to counter out of. Okay, that's good. We got 1 trigger out of the way. Okay, let's get a lot of cards out of hand. That's great. Love to see it. And then I think we can just not BM and just go all in here. So should be game. You have to be very patient. Of course, the longer the game goes on against Enel, the worse it is for us. So I feel like that was a good opportunity to close out. Enel usually struggles against a bunch of like 7k attacks. And so having Sanji Rayleigh is pretty good for us, being able to have pretty easy 9k swings every turn. And then if we can protect them, even better. So yeah, overall, this is usually how it goes against Enel. All right, against Lucci, I'm going to take second here for 2 reasons. 1, I don't want them to have Moria on curve. And then 2, this allows us to have a little bit more flexibility with what we're able to do. Let's go ahead and use the Ezo search to get something off the top. Getting rid of the Sanji sucks. It is what it is. Let's grab the ace, return, and then let's see what we can draw off of this. So a 2k is great. We're going to just place the Sanji's peel off on the top of the deck because it's a great card to have. And we'll get it next turn anyway. So let's take this hit. This is probably a stage coming down if they are leaving the 2-Don up, which it is. I like to do 6 first, and then use the Sanji's peel off. Leader ability. We have too many Marcos, so let's bottom deck 1, and then pass. Because I want to see some more top end besides the Sanji. It'd be nice to get a Rayleigh or maybe a Newgate here. Because we've drawn so many cards, I'm just going to go ahead and counter out of this one. So we don't take this. Khalifa is totally fine. I think what we could do is we could go like Marco, get rid of the Khalifa, and then the following turn, play this ace into this Marco. Because we're at 3 life, it's probably pretty easy for them to just KO this Marco, and I don't want them to KO it for free. And if they're going to KO this Marco, at least I have bad manners to take the hit there. So let's go ahead and swing 6. Use our leader ability. Well, we might just hold on to the Fire Fist for the Marco ability. So let's place... I want to place the Ace. It doesn't really matter, to be fair, because I want all those cards in my hand anyway. So let's go ahead and do this, get rid of that, and then pass. I did that expecting them to be able to KO this Marco this turn. This would probably be like a... on 7, it could be very simply like a Jack. Which, if it's a Jack, then we have the Ace to swing into this, which is really nice. We also can just use Fire Fist here. We'll use the card action to bring the Marco back. Let's... Oh, that's actually a decent card, but I don't really need it at this point in the game. So let's go ahead and bottom deck it. Minus this. Play the Ace. No second target. Swing here. Swing 6 to 3. 6 to face. They'll probably counter out. They don't. Okay. And then 7. Wow, they took both. Okay, that's pretty good. We equalized the board there. We're in a decent lead here. And the following turn, if we can get something good off of the top, that'd be amazing. I would love to see... I'd love to see something off the top here that's like maybe a Rayleigh or something better than that, I suppose. We can save this Marco, which is nice. And then we'll counter out with another Marco here. We want to stay around the 2 life area. Let's go here. Use our leader ability. Oh, that's not great. It's really not great. But let's go ahead and place this Marco on the top of the deck. Usually we want to have another big body, but a blocker is fine. So we have a blocker to protect. We do have a Fire Fist to also protect this Marco. We have the 2 life stipulation for this. Their goal here is to probably get rid of the Sanji and make it difficult for us to keep the other 2 Marcos alive. Ideally, getting a Rayleigh would have been awesome there, but you can't always get what you want. Sometimes you can, though. It feels like when I don't make content, it seems like the deck goes as smooth as possible, and then when I do film, it's like, oh, this sucks. It is what it is, though. I think that Jack is one of those things where showing how you can trade into the Jack pretty easily with a with an Ace is really nice. Yeah, getting rid of this Sanji is going to be their ideal turn. Spandine into a yeah, Rob Lucci here. Yeah, pretty good play from them. Let's go ahead and just get rid of this guy. They might swing into the Marco here. Oh, they don't. That's fine. All right, let's see what we can get. Oh, that's actually not bad. That's not bad. I want to keep the Sanji's peel off, unfortunately, but I'm going to have to bottom deck this because I want to see if I can get something else. Let's go here. Let's go here, here, pop this. Swing 6 into 4. 3 into 3. And then another 6 into 4. And then we can pass. That was a decent turn to be able to like stabilize a little bit, but I feel like them having Moria on the field definitely sucks for us. Something is going to die for sure, and I'm not going to be able to protect it. And who knows, maybe everything will die this turn. Ideally, though, we get like a Sanji into something pretty good as well. But yeah, the Rayleigh is definitely one of the better cards to come from OP08. Being able to Stabilize there. What is this? What is this? I guess we just let it die. I'm fine letting that go. And we could go down to 1 life. I don't want to protect it too hard. I'm 3 cards in hand, so it doesn't really make sense for me to do so. They don't have anything to protect the Moria, so if they decide to swing... Yeah. We're going to do that. Yeah, that's they didn't swing on purpose because they didn't want this to be traded into, which is understandable. We have 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can go 1, 2, 3. Get a card out of hand. 7. 8. They might... Oh, I thought they might counter out of that. They did not. Let's go ace into Marco and then pass. So now we have 4 bodies total. Can they get rid of all of these bodies? Who knows? It's Lucci. They might. They might. I doubt it, but I mean, there's a good chance that they could. If it means letting go of a Rayleigh to keep these 2 bodies alive, I would say let's do it. I think that's fair. Okay. They're getting rid of the Marco into this. That's fine. What happens if they just swing all out here? I think we just let it go. I think we'll let the Marco go. See if what they do. They might swing all out with the Moria into the Rayleigh. Are they going for game? Looks like they're going for game. Okay. No trigger. Well, we definitely have to counter out here because we don't know what this last card is going to be. Let's counter out. And then, of course, they're going to trade into the Rayleigh. And then we can just swing all out after that. So, yeah, that... Oh, man, if we didn't counter out of that last one, we definitely would have lost. But, yeah, I think that we could have played this a little bit better. Obviously, we didn't draw exactly what we needed. We didn't see a lot of top end, which is interesting because we do have a fair amount of top end in this deck. As a total... We have like a total of like, what, 12, 14? Yeah, somewhere around there. So, yeah, interesting that we didn't see that much. But... oh well, we still pulled it off against Lucci, so on to the next. Okay, let's go against Bonney. We'll take the second and hopefully find a peel-off. We don't see it, so that's all right, I suppose. Oh, there we go. Let's use the Ezo first and grab a... Grab a Marco. Draw. Ooh, great. Let's place the peel-off at the top of the deck and then pass. We're going to have to swing into the Bonney, unfortunately. It is what it is, and they're probably going to rest the Ezo, so we're going to have to use our leader to swing into the Bonney. The following turn, what we can end up doing is play the Marco and the Ace into a single turn, so we have 2 bodies on the board. A little bit harder for them to take care of, thankfully. Take this first life, then pass. I think we can bottom deck one of these. It probably would have been smarter to peel off first and then decide, but I think this is fine. We have our 2 Sanjis. We have our Ace, Marco, for the following turn. I think we counter out of one of these. Totally fine. Use this, place this on top. Go here. Swing 6. They'll rest this. They didn't rest that. Interesting. Probably forgot, and then pass. Hawkins is definitely a pain. No trigger. We'll use that. Alrighty. What do we do here? I think we go here. Draw a card. Do we need another peel off? I don't think so. So go here. Let's go 6 into 4. They're probably going to rest this ace. We'll go 7 into 4. And then pass. The following turn, we can go Sanji into Newgate. What is this? For 9? We'll go here, 8 into 6. They let that go. Okay. 6 into 5. 6 into 5. What does this say? Hody Jones' turn? What it seems like. They're just taking everything here. It'd be really nice to get an ace this following turn, because I imagine they're probably going to swing with this Hawkins. It shows that they definitely like doing that. That's totally fine. Another kid. Wow. That's a pretty good hand to have here. Unfortunately, we're in a really weird predicament. We'll draw a card, place this on top, minus this. We want to get value out of some of this stuff, so let's go like swing 10 to 6. They'll probably rest something here, like a Sanji. Okay. Go 6 into 6. Six into 6. We're just trying to get cards out of hand, and then we're going to pop it with this Sanji. Go 6 into 5. And then pass. So we got a lot of cards out of hand. We were able to KO with their kid, which was really nice. And now we're in a decent standing here where they're probably not going to feel super comfortable. Let's just block, use the card action, Fire Fist, and then see what they do if they swing with the Hawkins or not. They do. Wow. Place on the top of the deck. Let's place on the bottom of the deck. Let's go here, put this here. We're going to minus that. We're going to go here. We're just going to get rid of this guy. Just guarantee that it's gone. Swing 6. Swing 8. And then just hope that they don't have something crazy. The way that they win this game is that they have a Hody Jones to rest the Marco. And then swing, what, 8? 8-8. I am not risking this. So let's just do this. They don't have double rusher. So let's just block. Because if they had Hody Jones, they would have used it to rest the Marco. Yeah. Yeah, I think they would have rested the Marco if they had the Hody Jones. Hody Jones would have been great there, but I think I would have been able to counter out with my 2Ks. This is a really great board against Bonney here, so yeah. We love seeing this. Okay, let's just swing... Let's just swing 11. Let's just go, like, be pretty much guaranteed here. 7, 9, 11, right? They can't really... Unless they have, like, a counter event, which they're not going to use, they're just going to rest this Sanji. They have to take it, and then we just put the rest on the Rayleigh and swing for game. Yeah, that was, I mean, a decent showing there. I think this is a very tricky deck. It does well against, like, when they play a lot of kids down. It's definitely what you'd like to see. What you don't want to see is when they start being really aggressive with their Hawkins, which they started to do. You don't want them to start playing, like, Hody Jones after Hody Jones into maybe, like, a Doflamingo. Because if they play a 10-drop Doflamingo, then you're in a little bit of trouble. Also, if they have the Zoro in their deck, that's also a pain, especially if you let it go unanswered for like a single turn, which you can't really answer it in this deck because you don't have Red Rock, you don't have anything to hit 9 or above. Rayleigh is able to shrink it, but then they can just stack Dawn on it and swing a bunch of times. So yeah, overall, I think you have to be able to swarm the board and then just get a bunch of hits in, and then they'll rest the one thing that you probably is going to give them the most damage. Although, if I was Bonney, I'd probably be resting the Marco just to be able to bypass a blocker there. So yeah. All right, going against Doflamingo, I'm going to take first against Doflamingo because I do not want them to be able to start getting good value off of their leader ability, swinging with the Dawn ×2, resting 1, and then putting out a body on the field. Fire Fist is going to be one of my best friends in this game if I can find it. Seeing Gravity Blade very early on is nice as well, although on 7 Dawn, using your entire turn to do that does suck, but it is what it is. Sometimes you need to. Let's place this on the top of the deck. One thing to keep in mind against blue, you have to just hope that they don't have a pudding. Otherwise, being able to draw these cards is all for nothing. So we do have to be very aware of that and maybe counter out of some attacks that you would normally just take, so you don't go too low on life and then have your hand reset. Of course, if they swing 8 here, I'm just going to take the 8 because it's like, all right, well, what can you do? They might swing 8, go blind. They might just go like Perona, then swing 7, put a body out. The worst thing that they can do is like a Jinbei. Yeah, I was going to say Jinbei into like maybe, I was going to say like a Edward Weevil, but this is not that bad. We don't need to take that hit because there's no reason for us to take that hit. Let's draw. I guess we can bottom deck Jozu. Maybe we can find a Fire Fist. We cannot. We just replaced it. That's fine. Ideally, we found a Fire Fist there, and then we could have taken care of both of these bodies, but unfortunately, we did not, so it is what it is. We'll just have to swing 9. Of course, you're going to take this. Then we'll pass. We will probably take a fair amount of damage this next turn, which is unfortunate because we only have 5, 2, 2, 2. So, yeah. They're going to be playing down their Perona into hopefully not a Jinbei Weevil. If they had Weevil on the Jinbei turn earlier, they would have played it more than likely. So, I don't know. Unless they drew into it this following turn, we might be okay. They're definitely not going to pudding us this turn, so we can take a hit here. That's fine to take the 7 first. This Marco's pretty solid. Let's just go ahead and counter out. That's decent as well. Ooh. Ace is actually pretty good here versus their rested units. We love to see that, so let's go ahead and do that. Go here and here. Let's go 2 to 2. They'll probably counter out of this. They're 6 cards in hand. Let's get them down low enough, right? Okay, that's fine. We'll go 5 to 2. And then 7 to 3. And then pass. Now, this is where they could pudding us, and we are in trouble if they do that. If they don't, then I think we can probably safely turn the game around after this turn if we can counter out of some of this stuff. But we need to be able to have the opportunity to counter out first. Otherwise, we are in a little bit of trouble. So I would imagine that they're probably not going to really care too much about the board. This is fine. We'll get rid of one of the Rayleigh. Yeah, Rayleigh's not really... Like, 2 Rayleighs is fine, I guess, but I'd rather have a Newgate. Newgate's a little bit more problematic for them, and it helps us to... Are they going to... Okay, well, we'll just get rid of a second Newgate. That's... That turn is, like, really good for us. Them doing double that is really, really strange. I don't know why they played it that way, but that's fine. That's fine with us. We'll counter out, because we can. We'll go 7 into 7. Or 7 into 5. Get them to counter out. And then go Newgate, and then swing another 7 into this Jinbei. They're probably going to protect this. Knowing how Doflamingo players play, they usually like to protect their units, especially if they have 6 cards in hand, and we've seen that they have at least a 2K because they were causing us to discard, which we discarded stuff that didn't really matter. So that's fine with us. Play down the Newgate, and then swing 7 into life. This also presents an opportunity for them to be able to... swing into either this ace or a Marco. It doesn't really matter, right? It's the same thing. That's also something they can do, sure. They could just go 9. They're not? Okay. That's fine. That's perfect for us. If they swing 7, we can protect it pretty easily. If they put a body out, they have 3 in hand. We can either play Rayleigh and get rid of that body. We have a few options here, actually, so... We're in a good standing. It's fine there. I think I just want to use my Sanji's Pilaf. Want to bottom deck this. We'll go 6 into 5. They'll probably counter out. I mean, they've been playing kind of weird, so I guess, you know, do it. 7 into 5. And then I assume that this next turn, they probably have like a big dude. Like 10 drop. If they have the 10 drop, then we just counter out of this with the 2K. Okay. This is good. This is great. This is why we saved the Gravity Blade. We can also just throw down a Rayleigh as well if we really choose to do so. It all depends. Really just depends. There's also a world where they just go really hard at this ace. Okay. They do not. Are they going to go 6 at face? We'll counter out of that. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Let's go ahead and... I think we just bottom deck the Fire Fist. It doesn't really matter, to be fair. And then we're going to go ahead and just get rid of these 2. And then we'll swing 7. 3 7s. Call it a day. 3 7s is really awkward for them. Because I feel like this one's going to connect, and then they have to go for lethal this next turn, which... With these 3 bodies on the board, it's really hard for them to go lethal unless they somehow math it correctly, which... Yeah. Figured. They'll probably try to do that. That's fine. Right? This told me that they're trying to go for the math. We'll just bounce the Marco back, and then he'll swing 5 into us. I think we played this, like, okay. I wish that we saw Sanji. Sanji definitely makes the game a little bit easier. But yeah. I think we did well drawing into... Well, I mean, it's not like we... had a choice here. We drew into the ace at a good time, and that definitely helped us. They definitely didn't see any of their big bodies. They all saw like the 2Ks and everything that they needed, and a bunch of warlords. Nothing above 4, though. So that definitely was good for us, them not seeing any of their big bodies. They did spam the board a little bit towards the end, but it was just a little bit too late for that, I think. Well, that's a little taste of 08 ahead of time. Hopefully you guys are excited to play some Marco when OP08 comes, I don't know, like 6 months from now or whenever it does come out. But I think that this deck is it has a lot of potential. I'll say that. It's not necessarily an A or S tier deck quite yet. I think it needs a little bit of work, maybe some people to work on it to see if it can get there. But I think that at least this deck list is in the right direction of what we can see. Unfortunately, we didn't come across any red-purple laws because I wanted to be able to show like the power of Fire Fist overall. This card is very strong against red-purple law, and I think that this deck can actually go toe-to-toe with it if you play it correctly. But we did see a fair amount of diversity on other like meta decks in OP08, I think. So overall, I think that Marco is going to be a very fun rogue deck and could potentially be a deck that I feel like you could take to a big tournament and maybe surprise some people and do pretty well. So that's it for OP08 for now. We'll revisit OP08 later on in the future once we get a little bit closer to OP08. Now, once the sim is updated for the Western OP07, we'll go back to OP07 next week and discover a little bit more about what you can play in the current meta for the West. So make sure to like and sub the video and stay tuned for that. Appreciate you guys watching as usual. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.